this is one of the most insane stories I've ever heard. And I listen to a lot of stories. I read a lot of books. But you know what gets me the most is that this is a true life story. So as you guys can see, I was getting ready for work. But I cannot stop thinking about this. I cannot stop thinking about how insane, how out of this world, how I don't even know how something of this magnitude could possibly happen. And I was thinking about it as I was showering, and I'm like, you know what? I have to tell you guys. I have to tell my nerd gang because this is insane. So, I have been doing some research for one of the books that I'm writing, and I found this article because it ties very well with the book that I'm writing or the book that I'm rewriting or whatever it is that I'm doing currently. Guys, you know what? Let me just get into the story. So, 14-year-old Sebastian was playing around the forest in his little village. This is set in the 1960s. So he's playing around in his little village, and he comes up on these caves. These are caves that are in the boundary between his village and another very secluded village. And when he gets near those caves, he hears the sounds of someone screaming in pain. He's 14 years old. He knows better, but you know what? He thinks to himself, what if someone needs my help? So he goes in slowly, but you know what? He thinks, let me not like rush in there in case something suspicious is happening. Let me take my time. Let me see what's happening. And the closer he gets, the screams get more aggressive, more like violent, more excruciating. Like the person is in actual pain. They are screaming. And then all of a sudden he starts hearing second voice. But the second voice is not one person. It seems like a group of people. And it seems as if they are chanting. And he thinks that's odd. First of all, these caves are usually isolated. There's no one in the caves. But now he's hearing someone screaming. And on top of that, he's hearing people chanting. So he sneaks in very slowly, very, very slowly, and gets closer. And the closer he gets, the more of the chanting he hears. And it's not just 2 or 3 people. It's not even 10 people. It's like a huge crowd of people, and they are chanting. And he gets closer and closer. And then he hides behind like some rocks, and he sneaks. He takes a sneak peek. What he sees is so mind-boggling. It is so unbelievable that he just says, I'm out of here. First of all, Sebastian is braver than me. The moment I heard that chanting, I would have turned around and gone home. I would have gone home and I would have prayed, and I would have never talked about it with anyone ever again. I would have probably just prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed about it, because what do you mean? Why are people chanting inside a cave? Again, this is in the 1960s, so I don't know. So Sebastian, he runs out of there, and he decides that he's not going to go home. He's going to go straight to the police. Sebastian is a better person than me. I would have ran home and prayed. Like, I'm not even joking. I would have ran home and prayed. But he runs straight to the police, like literally straight past his house, straight to the police. Sebastian is that's how people should handle these type of situations. Anyway, I'm still getting ready. So he gets to the police station, and the police are there, and he is immediately trying to explain to them what it is that he saw in those caves. He's trying to explain to them that he heard someone screaming in pain. Then he went in to see maybe if he can help the person, and then there were people chanting and whatnot. And like, the police are like, boy, what are you talking about? They're looking at him strange. Let me tell you guys, I'm from South Africa, and sometimes in South Africa, if you go report certain things to the police, the first thing they do is laugh at you. So the police, they look at this boy and they laugh, and they're like, this boy is trying to play a trick on us. And he's like trying to explain. He's like, listen to me. I saw vampires. He tells the police he saw vampires. There were vampires. There was a vampire that was drinking someone's blood. The person was screaming in pain. There were people around the vampire chanting and whatnot. And the police are looking at him like, I don't blame the police because that's so far-fetched, but at the same time, come on guys, like this kid is trying to tell you that something is happening. Something is happening and you guys like ignored him. They tell him go home and sleep. Maybe you saw something. Maybe you saw something that is not right. So you guys, those of you that know me know how much I love vampires, witches, wolves. I love fantasy, and so that's how I stumbled upon this story, because I'm doing research for Nightfall, and if you know Nightfall, you know no, Nightfall has a lot to do with mystery, you know, all of that. So that's how I stumbled upon the story. So let's go back to Sebastian. Sebastian goes home like he's disheartened. He's like, the police did not believe me. What do I do now? What do I do now? If the police do not believe me, you know, what do I do now? Okay, it's late. It is literally late. It is late. I think I need to curl it. I was actually feeling like a no makeup day today, but I think I might actually put on a little bit of something. I don't know. Let's go back to Sebastian. I think I might just do something to it. Put on a little. I really like, it's Thursday. Is it Thursday? Yeah, it's Thursday, and I just didn't feel like doing much. But I think I'll just put a little bit of something, just to just lay the lace a little bit further. The lace is laid, guys. It is laid. It is late. It is so late that from far you guys can't even tell. Okay, Sebastian. He goes home and he's thinking about this non-stop. It's driving him insane. It's driving him crazy, because why did the police not believe him? Guys, I can't get over this lace. Like, it is laid. And you know why I'm obsessed with it? Because I have dreadlocks underneath. And my dreadlocks are so well hidden. They like not even like. Going back to Sebastian. He's going back home. He can't even sleep. The poor kid. He's only 14, guys. He can't even sleep because what do you mean he saw vampires in a cave and people chanting? He can't sleep. He's thinking about it. And in the morning, Sebastian wakes up, heads straight back to the police station, and he says to them, you guys have to believe me. There was someone there screaming in pain, vampires, and you guys need to believe me, and we need to go. And he's so, like, he's very adamant about it. He's saying, guys, you need to believe me. So one of the police decides, you know what, kid, I want you to feel better about this. So you know what, I'm going to go with you to go investigate. We just go investigate the caves where you say you saw this thing. So Sebastian and the police go. And Sebastian and the police, they go to the little secluded border between the two villages, and they are never seen again. Not Sebastian, not the police. So later in the day, the police are looking for their colleague, because their colleague has gone missing. And they're like, where's our police? It's so unlike him to just disappear and we can't find him. So they're like, you know what? One of the police like, actually, he left with that kid. The kid who came in here screaming about vampires, he left with that kid. So we need to take this a little bit serious. So they decide to take this a little bit serious, and they go into the caves to look for their colleague, right? And what they find, or what they have suspicion of, is so out of this world that they immediately call the army. And the army comes in guns blazing to solve this whole mess. As I was reading this, I'm like, did they find vampires? Because if they found vampires, that is nice. If they found vampires, give the vampires my address so that they find me and bite me and turn me, because being a human sometimes sucks. Especially being an adult human. I don't know who convinced us that this was a good idea. Growing up is not a good idea. I feel like as a vampire, you don't even have to buy groceries. You don't even have to pay for nothing. You just scare people and they give you everything that you want. And you never age. And you stay pretty. Like, guys, there I go again. That's my brain. Sorry about my brain. Now, let me give you some context to what did Sebastian actually see. What did the police find that made them call the army? So to give you some context, we need to go back about less than a year before all of this started, in 1964. So we have our two brothers there, the Hernandez brothers. The Hernandez brothers, two brothers, they are scammers. They scam people. It's what they do. They scam people. So they go around different villages scamming people, scamming people of their money, of their assets, of all of that, their property. So they decide that they have this brilliant idea, this idea that is the idea of all ideas. And they decide that they are going to go find a very remote village, a village with people that are not very educated, not very literate, and they are going to pull this grand scheme on them. And the scam is that they're going to pretend to be prophets. They're going to pretend to be prophets of these ancient Inca gods, right? Well, these Inca gods are from Peru, but not necessarily Mexico. But I think because of the close proximity of everything, that it was believable that they could be prophets of these ancient Inca gods. So they go into this village and they tell people that they are these prophets sent by these Inca gods, and these Inca gods are coming back to cleanse the land, get rid of the non-believers. And they do some I even feel like if anyone was to do that type of trick in this day and age, we would all laugh at them, because what do you mean? But they do these type of tricks and they convince these people from this village that they are prophets. And you know what? Again, as a South African or as an African, it's not far-fetched that people can pull a scam like this. I mean, I can name 10 scams like that, where someone pretends to be a prophet, pretends to be a sangoma or whatever, to get people to believe their lie. I mean, we know the story of Bushiri, whether you believe he's a prophet or not. There's a story of Bushiri in South Africa, where he basically started church, convinced people to give him money, and they all do, and he just runs away with the money. Like, people invested all their money in his stuff. So it's not far-fetched that these people believed that these brothers are prophets sent by the Inca gods, and the Inca gods are angry, and so they start convincing the villagers, the townspeople, that if you do this and that, we will promise you this, we'll heal this, we will do all of this and that. And guys, don't blame them. I mean, if this is happening in the 21st century, where we have so much access, so much information, best believe that these people in 1964 believed what these brothers were saying. They really believed it. And I feel like if you really believe something, you start to see it. Like, if you really, really, really believe that someone can perform miracles, you see certain things that are very small as miracles. Things that they do, things that if you actually get back home and you think about it, you'll realize that wasn't a miracle. That was just some basic thing. But in that time, in that moment, they believed. So guys, my pants, I've gained like 10 kgs, and I wanted to wear these pants, and they don't fit. They don't fit. They don't fit at all. Let me show you guys. Now we're going to put on the blazer and we're going to go back to the story about our homeboys. Back to the story. So they convince these villagers that they are prophets sent by these Inca gods. The Inca gods are angry. They have to give them their belongings, they have to do stuff for them. And you know what, eventually the people believe them, and they start taking advantage of the people, and they start making the people do like sexual favors for them, like doing drugs, you know, like doing OGs and all that type of, my sister's not here today so I can say it, doing OGs and all those other stuff, and they're doing the nasty with them. And eventually the people, they start to see that these brothers are full of lies. These brothers are full of lies, and they call them out on it, and they say, you guys need to go because you guys are liars. None of the things you promised us, you've delivered. You guys go. We are done with you guys. And the brothers, they leave, but they are going to come back because this town, this village, these people that are very illiterate, these people are their ticket mail. They are not going to let go. They are not going to let go of this opportunity. They're going to seize this opportunity, and they're going to take advantage, and they're going to get their way. So they decide that they're going to go look for a prostitute, and they're going to convince this prostitute to come into their little trick, into their little scheme with them. And eventually they're going to, you know, do like smoke and mirrors trick, and they're going to dress this prostitute as a goddess, an ancient Inca goddess, and this goddess will come out and she will like do some commands, tell them that you have to believe my prophets or else I'll strike you dead, and that will be it, right? So they find this Magda Solís, Magda, they find Magda and her brother, who's more so her pimp, and they convince them to come back to the village with them. And they do this whole thing. They call the people into that cave, that same cave that Sebastian found in the beginning of the story. They find them. They go into the cave, and they do the smoke and mirrors trick, and Magda comes out like, ooh, me, goddess, everything, and she convinces the people that she's a goddess. I don't know how she did it, but guys, when people want to believe things, they will believe it. That's my take on it, because how did they believe that this woman was a goddess? How did they believe it? But they do. They believe it. They believe. Oh, guys, it's so late. they believe it, and she convinces them that these are my prophets and whatever, and the people are worshipping her. Everything that she wants, they're giving her. And you know what? It goes straight to her head. Let me tell you a bit about my girl Magda. And you know, Magda is, yeah. So let me tell you about my girl. So she was born and raised in this very impoverished family. They lived a impoverished lifestyle. It is believed that her family might have been abusive and whatnot. Eventually she grows older. Her brother, they leave home, and she works as a prostitute, and her brother as her pimp. So she has a lot of insecurities. She has been abused. She has been beaten. She has been done a lot to her, and maybe that has done something to her brain chemistry, because I don't understand the bunch of things that she does next. I don't know how she did them, but she does them nonetheless. So when she gets here, the people are worshipping her. They are literally bowing before her. They are calling her beautiful. They are doing whatever. If she says to this guy, you come, you sleep with me right now, even if that guy has a wife, that guy will do it. So she's loving this. She's normally the one who has to bend to other people's will. That's her job. She has to do what other people want. If they want to do this and that to her, she has to take it. But for the first time in this village, people are bending to her will, and it goes to her head. And the whole scam was that she was supposed to stay a couple of days, a couple of weeks, and leave. Homegirl's like, I'm not going nowhere. I'm not going nowhere. These people love me. I love being loved, so I'm staying, and nobody can tell me otherwise. And they can't tell her otherwise. The brothers can't tell her to leave. Her and her brother, they're convincing the people that the people should actually listen to her and not the prophets, because would you rather listen to God or would you rather listen to God's prophet? So you listen to God, right? So they listen to God, and she she's a tyrant. She's making them do crazy things, like give her everything, sell their stuff. She even has them sell their own family members to sexual slavery so that they could fulfill whatever she wants. And they're doing it. And at some point I'm like, and I know that we are all thinking it. We are thinking, why did they go with it? Why did they do it? Because it doesn't make logical sense. But again, these are very illiterate people. These are people who want to believe. And I feel like some of them feel like a lot has happened already. This has to be true. You know, when you do something and you like, you know that you possibly have effed up, but you're like, this has to be true. This has to be real. This has to happen. For me, for my sake, I need this to be real. I need this to be right. I need this to work. And I feel like that's them at this point in time. So eventually, you know, there are these two townspeople, villages that decide that they want to leave. Like, they are done. They don't want to satisfy this goddess. They don't want to sleep with her. They don't want to put up with all of this. They want to leave. And unfortunately, they tell someone, and the person tells her. And she decides, you're not going nowhere, brother man. And she then decides, okay, she's going to do a ritual, and she's going to call everybody up to the cave, and they are going to do a sacrifice. And these people have been sacrificing their livestock for her. She's been telling them that gods want livestock, that gods want this and that. And now she says that the gods say they want to punish people that are driving the town down, that are influenced. The reason why the townspeople are not seeing their blessings is because of these two people. And she then names the two people that wanted to leave. And she instructs the town people to actually like just beat them up, like, and they do. And I mean, imagine how that feels, your own family members beating you up so aggressively, so violently, so brutally, because some women told them to. The betrayal that those two guys must have felt in those moments, it's insane. So the people just jump on them and start beating them. They grab them and they bring them to like this podium where Magda is, and Magda says, tie them up. And they tie them up, and she decides that she's going to give the gods a blood sacrifice, and she's going to kill these boys, these two men. And she takes a knife and she stabs them, she kills them. And for some reason, at this point, I don't even know why. What gave her this idea? But the thing that she does next is she takes a cup, she puts it on one of the men, and she drains his blood and she drinks it. This is when I said she must have a problem psychologically. I mean, I get being a scammer. I get liking to watch people get hurt, wanting to hurt other people, but blood? Drinking blood? At what point? And you know, the Hernandez brothers are looking out and they are like, this is going a bit too far, but they have lost control of the situation. They've lost complete control of the situation. It's Magda. It's Magda's world now. Magdalene. It's Magdalene's world now. Yeah, her name is Magdalena Solís. Magda. I'll call her Magda. Magda Solís. And she drinks the blood. And everybody's like, whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. What are you doing? What are you doing right now? But nobody stops her because they genuinely believe that she is who she says she is. And it is uncommon for gods to ask for blood sacrifice, especially ancient gods, especially Inca gods. So they do nothing. They let it happen. Such bad eye bags. Actually had a very good night's sleep today, so they're looking a little bit less puffy, but I naturally have eye bags. From then on, from that day when she tested blood, it was over. She now started asking for more blood sacrifice more. This town that had I can't say 1,000 people, but hundreds and hundreds of people, started to have less people, because homegirl is either getting their family members to kill them, or she's getting them to tie them up, and she's drinking their blood. So that day, when Sebastian went up into the cave and heard the person screaming in pain, this was actually about 6 or more months later, almost a year. Imagine that. So imagine how many victims they had been up until that point when Sebastian went up that cave. So what Sebastian saw that day was Magda doing one of her little rituals, and the townspeople were there chanting. They were there chanting as she killed one of their own. So let's go back to the morning when Sebastian and the police went to the village, to the town. So Sebastian and the police went to the town, they went up to the cave, and Magda and her little minions spotted them, and they got hold of them and they killed them. Whether they drank their blood or not, I don't know. It's not specified in the articles that I read. But she killed him. She killed a 14-year-old child and the police. And at that point in time, when they realized that this person that they killed is a police, they knew that more police were going to come. So they retreated into the village and basically barricaded themselves in. So when the police came, they found some remains within that cave, and they knew that something was happening, and they called the army because they did not have the capacity to handle it. And the army came, and basically what the army found was the remaining townspeople. That's how many people she killed. The remaining townspeople. And Magda and her brother and the Hernandez brothers basically barricaded in like one of this little fortress with guns and knives, and there was essentially a shootout with the army. And of course the army won, and they got everybody else, and they got them arrested. There was a whole case about it, a whole court case about it. Magda was arrested for murder, but she was only charged with the murder of 2 people, which are the people that she personally stabbed herself. But all the other people, she was not charged with their murder. So she got 50 years in prison, and I'm like, 50 years, that's not enough. The person needs to like lock her up and throw the key. That's a monster. Someone who drinks human blood is a monster. There is no but is what. They are a monster. Lock them up. Death penalty. I don't care. So, and then the townspeople, a lot of the townspeople were also charged with crimes, but there was a whole debate of should they be charged. I feel like to an extent yes, but I also feel like these people were they were manipulated. They were victims themselves. But I think everybody says at some point in time they should have opened their eyes and said no, but they never did. So that's the story. I mean, you guys can research about Magdalena Solís and her brother and the Hernandez brothers and everything that happened in that little town. It is insane. It is wild. I don't know how it is possible that something like this could happen. I mean, she's a serial killer. She's one of the most, at that point in time, she was one of the most known female serial killers. We have more now, but that's insane. That's wild. That's something straight out of fiction. That's something straight out of a fantasy novel. That's something straight. I don't know, guys, how something that creepy, that insane could actually really happen. I mean, that's wild. Anyway, I need to go to work. I need to go to work. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna finish dressing up. I will share my outfit with you guys on a later date, because now I need to go. So bye. It was lovely. It was lovely. If I find more stories like this, I'm gonna tell you guys all about it, because why not? Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you guys. I'm gonna put on a little bit of something, and then I'm gonna put on a blazer, and I'm gonna put on some heels, and I'm gonna head to work. Love you.